Howdy, folks. I am Alan for today's news. I will be reading and speaking about world news, interesting news to keep you entertained, and news to keep you informed. And if there's any type of news you want me to put on here, just let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I can do for you. Anything you want to hear. Anyway, what I got for you first is from USA Today. Here's why the U.S. can't stop military and intel members from leaking top secret documents.
First there was Army soldier Chelsea Manning, and after that intelligence contractors Edward Snowden and Reality Winner. All of them were 20-somethings charged with leaking highly classified documents they had access to as part of their government work and disclosing some of America's most closely guarded secrets. On Thursday, federal authorities arrested yet another suspected young leaker of top-secret U.S. intelligence, Jack Teixeira, a low-ranking member of the Massachusetts Air National Guard. Teixeira, 21, is charged with the unauthorized removal, retention, and transmission of classified national defense information about the war in Ukraine and U.S. efforts to spy on its enemies and allies. The disclosures over the past week have exposed sensitive information about the U.S.-assisted war effort in Ukraine and the fragile wartime relationship between Washington and its allies. Continue reading. IRA, an enlisted airman first class, is a member of the 102nd Intelligence Wing based in Cape Cod. Media reports say he posted the documents to an online group of young men and teenagers who came together over their shared love of weaponry, video games, and racist online memes. Why do these kinds of damaging intelligence leaks keep happening? And perhaps more important, what can the U.S. military and intelligence establishment do to prevent it from happening again? Experts, including former U.S. intelligence officials, told USA Today that there are no easy fixes to the problem. That's especially the case because of the vastness of the military and intelligence bureaucracy, which has millions of people, many of them independent contractors, with top-secret security clearances. And in a post-9/11 world where government agencies are required to share whatever they can with whomever they can, no amount of insider threat monitoring is bound to catch all wrongdoers, they said in interviews.
And it goes on, and if you want to read the rest of it, the link will be in my description box. Let me go on to the next one here. This from CNBC. Surprise all output cuts from OPEC Plus could hurt consumers and derail the economic recovery, IEA warns.
In its latest monthly oil market report, the IEA said the Energy Alliance's self-described precautionary move was likely to spell bad news for consumers at a time of heightened economic uncertainty. Consumers confronted by inflated prices for basic necessities will now have to spread their budgets even more thinly, the IEA said. This augurs badly for the economic recovery and growth. Several OPEC Plus members announced on April 2 that they were set to tighten global production by an additional 1.16 million barrels per day until the end of the year. The International Energy Agency on Friday warned surprise oil output cuts from the OPEC Plus producer group risk exacerbating a projected supply deficit and could scupper an economic recovery. In its latest monthly oil market report, the IEA said the Energy Alliance's self-described precautionary move was likely to spell bad news for consumers at a time of heightened economic uncertainty. Consumers confronted by inflated prices for basic necessities will now have to spread their budgets even more thinly, the IEA said. This augurs badly for the economic recovery and growth. Led by Saudi Arabia and Russia, OPEC Plus is an influential group of 23 oil-exporting nations that meets regularly to determine how much crude to sell on the global market. Several OPEC Plus members announced on April 2 that they were set to tighten global production by an additional 1.16 million barrels per day until the end of the year. The decision, which the White House criticized, was said to have been made as part of an independent initiative unlinked to broader OPEC Plus policy. The cuts add to Russia's existing plans to trim 500,000 barrels per day of its production from March until at least the end of the year. It means the combined voluntary cuts of OPEC Plus members will be in excess of 1.6 million barrels per day. Rising oil stocks likely contributed to the move, the IEA said, highlighting that OECD industry stocks in January hit their highest level since July 2021.
And let me know what you think about this. This is just a little bit more to read, not much. I'm going to go on the next one and see what we got here. This is from Raw Story. Citizens have a right to violently overthrow government, from influential gun lobbyists. See what it says.
One of Tennessee's most influential gun lobbyists has told News Channel 5 Nashville that citizens have the right to violently overthrow their government. During the interview, journalist Phil Williams asked gun rights activist John Harris, who regularly lobbies state lawmakers against enacting any gun restrictions, about incendiary memes he had posted on Facebook, including one that suggested conservatives give up on voting and instead take a road trip to Nashville to fix problems with the Tennessee state government. You think that Tennesseans may one day need to take up arms and come to the state capitol and overthrow state government? Williams asked him. Well, the state constitution specifically says that is their right, he said. Harris also posted a meme that encouraged a rebellion against former President Barack Obama, which Harris hastened to note that I don't say that I am for it or against such a rebellion. You didn't condemn it, though, Williams pressed. No, Harris acknowledged. Tennessee has been roiled by a debate over guns ever since a mass shooting at the Covenant School in Nashville that led to the death of 3 adults and 3 children. When asked about the demonstrations by students in favor of stricter gun safety standards in the wake of the shooting, Harris dismissed the young protesters as props.
Okay, and that's all I got on that one there. And let's go to the next one here. This from News Nation. Michigan town divided over plan for Chinese-owned factory.
Green Charter Township, News Nation. Green Charter Township is normally a quiet place where everyone gets along. The rural community of 3,200 is about an hour north of Grand Rapids, Michigan, with sprawling farmland. But recently, that tranquility has turned to rage amid plans to bring a Chinese-owned company to the area. China is our number one enemy, one man yelled at a recent board meeting. You don't care, do you? Lawmakers look to limit China's farmland ownership in U.S. The township board meeting was so crowded that it had to be moved outside so residents could express their dismay at a project by Gotion Incorporated, whose parent company is based in China. My family members fought communism and you're bringing it right here, another woman said to the town's 7 board members. So far, the board appears to support the company's plan to build a massive electric vehicle battery plant. They say it's a $2 billion investment that would bring more than 2,000 jobs to the area. Resident Lori Block says many nearby property owners have agreed to sell their land to the Chinese-owned company, and neighbors feel betrayed. This is not the way it should be, said Block. We're all zoned agriculture here. I don't want to see a scenario where we are feeding the hand that is biting us, added neighbor Larry Finkbeiner. News Nation reviewed Gotion Incorporated's corporate documents and noted a particularly alarming clause. The company shall set up a party organization and carry out party activities in accordance with the Constitution of the Communist Party of China. The company shall ensure necessary conditions for carrying out party activities, one document read. Gotion Incorporated did not respond to News Nation's request for comment, but recently addressed the clause at a virtual town hall. Has the Communist Party penetrated this company? No, said Chuck Thalen, the company's vice president of North American operations. Do we have articles of incorporation that require a specific paragraph or you don't do business in the country of China? Yes, but it's not a corporate culture. Chinese companies aren't just buying land in Michigan. Over the past 5 years, Chinese ownership of American land has increased 55%. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, more than 383,000 acres of U.S. farmland is now owned by Chinese entities. There are other conflicts of interest concerns. One of the town board members, Dale Jernstadt, won't say whether he is selling his land to the Chinese-owned company. China the focus of continued worldwide threats hearing. When NewsNation asked Jernstadt if he had a contract with Godion Incorporated for his land, he replied, "I don't know yet." Residents are worried about national security as well. The planned factory would be built about 100 miles from Camp Grayling, where the Michigan National Guard is training the Taiwan military. NewsNation asked U.S. Rep. John Molinar, Republican Michigan, whether the federal government should have more control over projects involving foreign adversaries. "I have supported legislation that would ban farmland from being purchased by entities related to the Chinese Communist Party," said Molinar. "I have come out and said I don't think it's a good project." Despite those concerns, the final decision about the plan ultimately comes down to the Township Board. Although, this week Godion Incorporated suffered a setback when the state of Michigan delayed grants worth $175 million. Several state lawmakers say they still have questions about the project. It's hard to know just how many locals have agreed to sell their land to Godion Incorporated. Those who have done so agreed to sign non-disclosure agreements which prevent them from discussing the contracts. In some cases, neighbors say they were given just 4 hours to make a decision about selling their property and the offers can come in at 2 or 3 times market value.
So the Chinese trying to rush them so they can sell their land to the CCP. Be 100 miles from the Michigan base there, military base. This is like the Trojan horse. They said they're going to get us. They're going to come in our country and get us one way or another. Let's go to the next one. Let me know what you think. This from UPI News. U.S. disappointed in China's decision to uphold death sentence for American.
April 13, UPI, the U.S. State Department on Thursday expressed its disappointment in China's decision to uphold a death sentence for Mark Swiden, an American first jailed in 2012. Today, the People's Republic of China's Jiangmen Intermediate Court denied wrongfully detained U.S. national Mark Swiden's appeal and upheld his death penalty with a 2-year suspended death sentence, State Department spokesman Vedant Patel said in a news release. "We are disappointed by this decision and will continue to press for his immediate release and return to the United States." U.S. officials have repeatedly expressed their concerns to senior PRC officials about Mr. Swiden's treatment, medical care, and his inability to send or receive mail in a timely manner. Patel added that President Joe Biden and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken both continue to remain personally focused on the release of Mark Swiden and other U.S. nationals wrongfully detained or held hostage across the world. Swiden was arrested while speaking with his family from a hotel room in the city of Dongguan in November 2012, according to a 2020 report from the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. He was 37 at the time and in China on a business trip looking for flooring, fixtures and furniture for his business and his home in Texas, and he also was seeking to purchase helium for another company in Texas on commission. Authorities who arrested Swiden seized his photography equipment, wallet, tablet, passport and identity card and accused him of being part of a criminal group manufacturing and trafficking drugs. No drugs were found on Swiden or in his hotel room at the time of his arrest, and prosecutors did not discover emails or phone calls implicating him in the alleged drug ring. Swiden pleaded not guilty to his charges. During his detention, Swiden was badly mistreated and exposed to poor sanitary conditions and denied medical treatment, according to the UN report. Sweden was ultimately sentenced to death in 2018, but appealed the decision. His sentence was upheld Thursday. The UN has determined that Sweden was arbitrarily detained and urged China to release him immediately. U.S. officials that have pushed for Sweden's release include Texas Senator Ted Cruz, a Republican, who said earlier this year that his fellow Texan was sentenced to death on false charges. "This is how third world despots act," Cruz said. "They must release Mark." Catherine Sweden, his mother, long feared for her son's safety and treatment in China. "My son will die, slowly giving up hope. I question myself tonight. Am I strong enough to hear Mark is dead, or should I go before him and wait for him with the angels?" she posted in November. "My country does nothing but be polite, afraid to demand, all while Chinese guards laugh watching Mark suffer in pain," she said.
And that's all I got on that one there. Let me know what you think about it. And let me go to the next one here. It's from 1945. AOC wants to ignore the courts.
Should politicians support ignoring court orders? Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC, said last week that the White House should ignore the recent court ruling that effectively banned the abortion drug mifepristone. Will this set a bad precedent? Subscribe to 1945's new YouTube. What we know. Earlier this month, U.S. District Judge Matthew J. Kaczmarek of Texas ordered a pause in the U.S. approval of the abortion pill known as mifepristone. It was widely reported as an unprecedented move by a judge to overrule the Food and Drug Administration on approval of a drug. The drug had been approved in 2000, with the FDA relaxing some distribution restrictions in 2016. The Justice Department appealed the ruling soon after, with the ruling put on pause to allow opponents to appeal. The DOJ, per the New York Times, had sought to clarify what the FDA would be obligated to do if the Texas ruling took effect, essentially seeking instructions from the judge that would allow the agency to continue to keep mifepristone available, at least while the Texas case works its way through the courts. And on Thursday, a federal...
Okay, that's all I'm going to play on that one there. The link will be in my description box if you want to read on. I'm going to go to the next one now. This is from Fox News. Over 99% of migrants who have sought Title 42 exception via CBP One app was approved. So they got apps for that too now. They got apps for everything.
The overwhelming majority of requests made by migrants for an exception to the Title 42 public health order using the recently expanded CBP One app have been accepted, with 99% of migrants being found to have met the criteria, just as the app continues to face scrutiny from both the left and the right. The Biden administration expanded the use of the CBP One app in January to allow for migrants seeking a humanitarian exception to Title 42, the COVID-era public health order that allows for the rapid expulsion of migrants at the southern border due to the pandemic. It allows migrants to upload information, including a photo, and schedule an appointment at a port of entry to pursue the exception to the order, which is due to end next month. The administration says it is a key part of promoting a safe, orderly, and humane process at the border and discourages illegal immigration between the ports. The CBP One app is an innovative solution we are using to facilitate the safe and orderly arrival of non-citizens who believe they meet certain vulnerability criteria and are requesting a humanitarian exception to the CDC's Title 42 order, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said in January. When Title 42 eventually lifts, this new feature will join one of the many tools and processes this administration is providing for individuals to seek protection in a safe, orderly, and humane manner and to strengthen the security of our borders. More than 75,000 applications have either been carried out or scheduled until April 25, a CBP spokesperson told Fox News Digital this week. The spokesperson said that when appointments are opened up, they are filled within a matter of minutes.
Okay, there's more to read if you want to read more about it. Let's see. Let me see what this video here is about.
In just a second, but we thought we'd put together just what he has been putting together over the last couple of years at the border, because he was on it before anyone was. Take a look.
This is the U.S. border right now. Take a look at it. You had upwards of 15,000 people here. We witnessed a pretty wild situation last night. The driver runs across the freeway. One of the troopers has to start yanking guys out of the vehicle. As it was crammed with men inside, he starts yanking them one by one.
Border Patrol doesn't have enough agents to process these folks. They're completely overwhelmed. It's one thing seeing it on TV, but seeing it up here in person and just seeing the scope of it all over the place. It's wild.
The White House says your trip here is a political stunt and that their border plan is working. What's your response?
You know what? If they would actually come here, they'd realize their border plan is not working.
All right. Bill Melugin himself, and always good to see you, Bill.
To see you.
Man, I mean, the more things change, the more they kind of stay the same.
Okay, that's almost 7 minutes long. If you want to watch it, the link will be in my description box. Let's go to the next one here. This from Fox News. Biden raises eyebrows by telling Irish leader to lick the world.
President Joe Biden received a standing ovation after telling Irish leaders he wanted to lick the world with them during a banquet at Dublin Castle Thursday evening. There's nothing, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, there's nothing our nations can't achieve if we do it together. I really mean it, the president told a large group at dinner. So, thank you all. God bless you all. And let's go, lick the world. Let's get it done. Thank you, Biden said, according to the White House's transcription of the speech. The remark was followed by applause and a standing ovation from the crowd. According to the Cambridge Online Dictionary, an alternate definition of licking includes to defeat easily in a competition, fight, etc. The gift that just keeps giving, several users wrote. How is this real? One commented. The dinner took place just hours after a video of Biden getting barked at by the president of Ireland's dog, Miss Neach, also made its rounds on social media.
Okay, there's more to read if you want to read. Not too much more. Let's go ahead and finish this off, I guess.
The president's latest gaffe came just days after he accidentally mixed up the All Blacks, a New Zealand soccer team, with the Black and Tans, a British police force group known for its brutal occupation of Ireland in the 1920s. This was given to me by one of these guys, right here, Biden said at the Windsor Bar in Dundalk on Wednesday, referring to the tie he was wearing. He was a hell of a rugby player. He beat the hell out of the Black and Tans.
Okay, and about the one about the dog. That must be this one here.
Got dog.
I would bark at them too. I would do more than bark at them, but anyway. Let's go to the next one here. This from CNN. World leaders are lining up to meet Jinping should the U.S. be worried.
Xi Jinping has had a busy couple of weeks. Since late last month, the Chinese leader has hosted heads of state and government chiefs from Spain, Singapore, Malaysia, France, and the European Union, an unusual pace of diplomatic activity that comes as countries look to Beijing as the global economy sputters in the wake of the pandemic and war in Ukraine. On Friday, that list grew to include Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who is expected to sign a host of bilateral deals with Xi, and, like several of the leaders before him, arrives with hopes of making progress toward ending Russia's war in Ukraine. But for Xi, this revolving door of visiting leaders, making the trip even as China has refused to condemn the Russian invasion, is also an opportunity to assert his vision for a global order not dictated by American rules, and push back against perceived threats. That's especially urgent for the Chinese leader now, observers say. 3 years of scaled-back diplomacy due to China's strict COVID-19 controls coupled with economic challenges, entrenched competition with the United States and rising European concerns about Beijing's foreign policy have left Xi under pressure to act. Chinese leaders believe it's time now for China to make its strategic plans, said Li Mingjiang, an associate professor of international relations at Singapore's Nanyang Technological University.
And there's more to read if you want to read the rest of it. A few more to go here. This one here is from Stars Insider. America's secret airline the government doesn't want you to know about.
America's secret airline the government doesn't want you to know about. Did you know that the U.S. government operates a top-secret airline called Janet? The airline tends to fly under the radar, even though it operates out of commercial airports. However, if you've never noticed the discreet, unmarked aircraft fleet, you're not the only one. Janet's operations and the activities of the passengers it transports are highly classified, but take a look at what is known about the airline in the following gallery.
Yeah, there's 29 of them, so I'm going to see how far I can get on this.
Janet. Nobody really knows why the airline is called Janet. Some have speculated that it's an acronym standing for just another non-existent terminal or joint air network for employee transportation. Strange markings. The planes are not marked by the typical logo seen on commercial airlines. They are marked by either a horizontal red or blue line.
So you ever see a plane with no company markings there on the tail or on the side, just blue or red straight line? That's the secret airlines.
The fleet. Janet's fleet contains just 11 aircrafts, 6 Boeing 737-600s, 2 Beechcraft 1900s, and 3 Beechcraft 200CS. Follow us and access great exclusive content every day. First flights. The first flights on Janet Airlines took place in 1972. You may Who owns the airline? The fleet belongs to the U.S. Air Force and the planes are operated by the defense contractor, AECOM. Home Sweet Home. The airline operates out of McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas. Private terminal. The airline operates out of a private and restricted terminal that is known as the Gold Coast Terminal. Daily operations. Popular Mechanics publication reports that the terminal's parking lot fills up with hundreds of cars every day and that in the evening, all of the cars are gone.
Okay, that's number 9 of 29 photo gallery there. That was read to you. And link will be in the description box if you want to go on with the rest. Next one I got for you here is from Markets Insider. China and India are buying so much Russian oil that Moscow is now selling more crude than it was before invading Ukraine.
Sponsored content. Russia's exports of crude oil have now surpassed the volumes hit before its invasion of Ukraine. China and India account for roughly 90% of Russia's seaborne crude exports, CLR data shows. With Europe largely out of the picture, the two countries are each buying 1.5 million barrels a day from Russia. Full screen. Russia has been able to navigate Western sanctions well enough to push oil exports above levels reached before its war on Ukraine, and new data suggests that Moscow has China and India to thank for that. In the first quarter, Russia's seaborne crude oil exports totaled 3.5 million barrels per day versus 3.35 million barrels in the year-ago quarter, the tail end of which saw the start of Russia's war on Ukraine. China and India now account for roughly 90% of Russia's oil, with each country snapping up an average of 1.5 million barrels per day, according to commodities analytics firm CLR. That's enough to absorb the shipments that no longer head to European nations, which used to account for nearly two-thirds of Russia's crude exports. Europe now takes in only 8% of Russia's oil exports, per CLR. Both China and Russia are taking advantage of discounted Russian crude, benefiting from the sanctions applied on Russian materials by other countries, Matt Smith, lead oil analyst at CLR, told Insider Friday. Behind China and India, Turkey and Bulgaria are the biggest buyers of Russian crude.
Okay, you're going to read the rest of this in my description box. I got one more for you before I go. This is one of 16 photo galleries. It says, here are 15 facts even diehard Walmart fan didn't know about the company.
Here are 15 facts even diehard Walmart fans didn't know about the company. Whether you can't get enough of Walmart's savings, or you get overwhelmed when you even think about entering a huge, big box store, you have to admit that Walmart is an almost unparalleled success story. After all, it started as a 5-and-dime in Bentonville, Arkansas, and grew into a retail giant that does more than $500 billion in sales and has more than 2 million employees. If all you know about Walmart is the rollback deals and superstore savings, read on to find 15 fascinating facts about Walmart. It was founded by Sam Walton, who was almost fired from a JCPenney job. Walmart is one of the biggest retailers in the world, but its founder, Sam Walton, started in the industry on shaky grounds. According to Entrepreneur, while he was a sales trainee at a JCPenney store in Des Moines, Iowa, he hated to make customers wait while he fussed with paperwork, so his books were a mess. His boss even threatened to fire him, saying he was not cut out for retail work. Ouch! Eventually, Walton opened his own discount store, which turned into a chain, and his old manager wrong. Walton once had to do a public hula dance because he lost a bet. In 1984, Walton made a bet with his then CFO David Glass. Glass thought Walmart could reach an 8% pre-tax profit, and the founder didn't. Walton said if they hit that benchmark, he'd go out and do a hula dance on Wall Street. Well, they made it, and Glass hired professional hula dancers and informed TV crews so Walton would have to live up to his words. Now, Walmarts are everywhere. It's hard to avoid shopping at Walmart. It's been reported that 90% of the population in the United States lives within 10 miles of a Walmart store. And, for that remaining 10%, there's always online. And, by 2017, the company noted that 95% of U.S. shoppers spent money in a Walmart. And the workforce is huge to match. The company reports that it employs 2.2 million associates around the world. That means, if every Walmart employee were to move to the same location, the resulting city would be about the same size as Houston, Texas. Robots are joining Walmart's ranks. This isn't sci-fi. Walmart is using robots to do tasks like washing floors, checking shelf stock, and scanning for price errors. By next February, it expects to have autonomous floor scrubbers in 1,860 of its more than 4,700 U.S. stores, CNN reports. Walmart will also have robots that scan shelf inventory at 350 stores. According to CNN, this will allow associates to spend more time working with customers.
Yeah, they won't have the robots working with the customers. Let me see what else we got here. Then we got a Walmart Museum, largest store in New York. And there's more to read here if you want to read the rest of it. And that's all I got for you today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or at least come back once in a while. If you want me to just do one long article, like a few of them at a time, instead of a whole bunch of them, let me know. And I thank you for watching. Until next time, later.